The title of this book, The Believer's Authority. It is written by our beloved brother, Andrew Mark. We are now in chapter 2, subpart 3. Chapter 2, subpart 3. After the morning meeting, I went out to eat with the parent of the boy every day. For 3 days, trying to figure out exactly what had transpired. Since everyone had given it their best shot, doing everything they knew to do, many people in the church were beginning to back off the wall, saying maybe it's not God's will to heal every time. When I told them that it wasn't true, that God had already provided the healing and His will to heal every single time, they responded, well, then what's the problem? As I talked with the boy's parent those 3 days, I discovered that they had been in so much strife that they were about to get divorced. They already made the plans and had talked about it with the children. So there was much strife, hurt, and negative emotion in that home. On the morning of the tragedy, the mother had an argument with his boy and told him, I hate you, get out of my house and never come back again. She probably didn't mean what she said. She was just saying it out of the heat of emotion. I knew that chills can sometimes get on your nerves. I've raised some myself. Raising kids is harder than raising the dead, and I have had to do both in my family. I'm not trying to condemn this lady, but before this boy left, she said, get out of my life and never come back again. Every evil work. Because the boy had been hurt by his mom, he violated school policy that day, left the school ground and went over to another child's house to eat lunch. Why they got out the gun, were playing with it, and the boy accidentally shot himself in the head. That's the reason he had been in a coma for 6 weeks. The parent just didn't understand how this could have happened. The word revealed that where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. Look at James chapter 3 verse 16. Many people say, I agree that strife isn't the best. Nobody like it, but it is just a normal part of life. Family fight and then they get over it without realizing that where in a spiritual battle, they just tolerate different level of strife in their life. The word say that envying and strife bring confusion. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33. If God isn't the author of confusion, who is? That is right, Satan. The devil is the one who, wherever envying and strife are, bring confusion and every evil work. When you find a door open like that of the devil, don't be surprised if you see different form of sickness, tragedy, poverty, and death manifest. Satan jump on opportunity like that and use them as inroad into your life. As a roaring lion, he is constantly seeking whom he may devour. End of chapter 2. End of chapter 2. Chapter 3, Satan's inroad. Chapter 3, Satan's inroad. Since we are in a spiritual battle, you can't afford to indulge the luxury of strife. If you think that a certain amount of strife is just normal, the way we are supposed to live, you are wrong. God is a God of peace. Got Romans chapter 15 verse 33, Romans chapter 16 verse 20. And we were created in his image. Got Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. The fruit of his spirit working in our life is peace. In Galatians chapter 5 verse 22. Therefore, our life should be full of peace, not strife. I'm not saying that we will ever live totally free from all strife from every sources. You should never just accept it, indulge it, or promote it. You ought to actively stand against and fight it, recognizing that every time you get into strife, a door is open for anything the enemy wants to do in your life. Satan has access to you when you are in strife. I remember being brave as a soldier in the army. During basic training, there were many situations where explosions were going off around me all the time. We will go out on maneuver, pass through low craft pit and cut with machine gun, firing overhead, learn how to use grenade, practice firing out weapon, and many other things. Over a period of 6 months time in training, I became as accustomed to all the noise. It didn't bother me because I knew that we were still in our own country. It was training and nobody was trying to kill me. So I hardened myself to the noise and got to the point where the explosion just didn't mean anything. Then I arrived in Long Bien, Vietnam. We got out of our plane at 2 in the morning, right in the middle of a mortar attack. We literally had to low ground from the plane to a bunker and hid in it until the attack was over. After we have been processed couple of hours later, I remember lying down in a temporary barrack. My coat was actually bouncing up and down from the explosion. Even though I've heard many similar noise in basic training, it suddenly dawned on me that this isn't friendly fire anymore. Somebody out there was shooting rocket at us, and I was close enough to hear the explosion. As I lay there on that Bunsen bunk, I realized I am at war. There is an enemy who is trying to kill me. That really sobered me up. Gone was my started listening to instruction. My instructor didn't have to do anything to get my full attention. When they started the week of the training, once we arrived, how to adjust to the country, what will be happening, and things like that, I was all ear. The difference was I realized that this was truly life and death. I recognized that I was now in a battle. Seeds are being planted. Seeds are being planted. Whether you realize it or not, you are now in a battle. Remember, Satan is walking about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. The devil is trying to destroy your life today. You could become overwhelmed with that and fearful, but God is also going about seeking who will respond to him. He is trying to get his anointing power and blessing into your life. There is no reason to panic and freeze up in fear, because the Lord is infinitely greater than the devil. However, you do need to sober up and realize that we are in a battle. You can't afford the luxury or indulging your negative emotion and getting into the flesh. I minister to people all the time who desire the result they see in my life, but aren't willing to do what I do. They want to sit and watch as the stomach turn on television. They watch an X-rated movie, indulging negative emotion that I will never indulge. I recognize that there is a spiritual battle going on, and if I ever begin to open up and allow such things into my heart and mind, Satan will take advantage of it. So I live a very restricted life, refraining from many things that other people do. God, Psalms chapter 101 verse 3. Although many people would like to see blind eyes and deaf ear open, terminal diseases healed, the dead raised, and financial blessing manifest, the way I have in God, by God's grace, they are not willing to spend the time yielding to and fellowshipping with the Lord in His word, prayer, and obedience. They are rather be out of the world, indulging their flesh and thinking it is not hurting me to do all of this stuff. It may not hurt them at that moment, but seeds are being planted. True. You can't be tempted with something you don't think. God, Hebrews chapter 11 verse 15. If you will quit opening yourself up to envy, strife, division, and all the other negative things our society use for entertainment, Satan wouldn't have these inroad into your life. Mr. Critical. Once I led a man to the Lord who had a pretty rough background. After being born again, he joined our church and began criticizing everything. He criticized people for using soap because it wasn't natural. In fact, he could have used a lot of soap too. He needed it. He criticized people because they peel their potatoes and sink was the most nutritious part. This girl just had an opinion about everything. I didn't find out until later, but this fellow had been the first person ever indicted by the Californian grand jury 3 times before he was a teenager. He had lived in reformatory since the age of 5. Because of all this, and growing up around so much strife, there was a tremendous amount of anger and resentment in him. After a couple of months, he came to me one day and said, "I'm leaving this church. I'm going back out into the desert because there is too much strife here."